Hey neighbors, the handyman here with Initiative Coffee Company along with the fourth ghost on Christmas, Jacob Del Marlio. And today we're talking about DDAL 3-9, The Waydown, written by Cole Kronreiter and editors Claire Hoffman, Chris Tulach, and Travis Woodall. This is a 4-hour module for Tier 2 play, tuned for 5 8th level characters. The party is tasked with resupplying a drow resistance in Sith Morcane. They will need to infiltrate a hostile garrison to gain access to its lift, the only one nearby big enough to lower a wagon load of supplies down to the Underdark. Part 1. Dinner Performance. After meeting with an old ally, Aries, the party is given the essential mission of bringing a wagon load of supplies to the drow resistance in Sith Morcane. They will have to assume minstrel identities to access the lift in the Red Plume Garrison and will be tested on how convincing they are as a carnival act. After their act, they'll be sequestered in a garrison and need to come up with a strategy to lower the supplies down the garrison's lift. Jake, get us going here. What's going on?
So first and foremost, I am always a fan of callbacks to other mods. You can fight me as much as you want on that.
Nobody's gonna fight you.
No one's gonna fight me on that. Everyone likes it anyway. Yeah, we all know that. But like that is a theme in earlier seasons, I feel, because later seasons they're just like, here you go, here's some stuff. And that's about as much detail I'm gonna give you about, story words and not usage. Overall, I like the idea of this mod. You get to go in, you're tasked with a very interesting task.
This is a very different kind of mission for it.
Yeah, so it's like it's one of the few sneaking mods out there. I mean, this is a similar feel to, I can't remember the mod earlier this season. I can't remember the name, where you get to go and infiltrate the formal ball.
Right.
Very similar feel in terms of but a little bit more high stakes and a little bit more hey, you can set off an alarm, or you can actually fight these guys. It's just gonna suck.
It's gonna be a long night.
It's gonna I would say there's not really too much to there's not too much let your characters play up their characters. I mean, that's really it. There is a formal mission from another one of the factions here. This is prevalent in other, before factions really were disassembled. Once again, I'm not going to get into it, but unless you have the faction agent background, really kind of irrelevant. But I would still go as far to say that if there's somebody that has a faction relevant situation, in this terms it's the Order of the Gauntlet, or someone that's faction adjacent, or someone that fits the bill, give it to them. I mean, what's the harm in giving them extra things to do? They can choose not to do it.
Yeah, they can choose not to do it. And honestly, there's a lot in this module, but it's not unreasonable to fit in a 4-hour slot anyway.
Yeah.
So adding that special mission is not gonna break your clock at all. So
the other things I would definitely push forward is, once you get into part 1, the performance itself, give your players time. I mean, it does say hey, give your players time, but this is one of those situations as a DM, you got to be aware of your table. You might have shy players. We do have that at our table that we're streaming. We have people that are not, they're quiet. They're not going to be as outgoing. Push them, but don't push them too hard.
Right.
And also, what I don't like is the use. I don't need to double check. Okay, no, never mind. It does outline this. Sometimes they only make you make performance checks. Don't.
Yeah.
If you do an active strength, it's an athletics check.
Yeah, for sure.
Let them be.
And let your players call that out. Let your players decide what they want to do, and then work with them.
Give them some ideas.
That's relevant. Yeah.
I'm do that kind of stuff. Ward advantage as necessary. If they use more resources or whatever it may be, let them be creative. This is kind of one of those parts where you as a DM get to sit back and actually enjoy what your players get to say, which is
and it gives them
time to few between.
Right, it gives them time to control the table a little bit and gives you a little bit of a break. It's a nice kind of reprieve from if you were the consummate DM, put your players on the spot once in a while. Again, one of the benefits of D&D is to stretch people to the edges of their comfort zone sometimes. So It's important to remember it's to stretch them to the edges and not pull them out of their comfort zone. But beyond that, I think there's some really good opportunity here for creativity on your player's part.
Yeah, and then as for the rest of the information you have, I don't think there's anything crazy here. Like it's pretty well read through. Like you're gonna get locked up in the same kind of hall, and like you have to still bring your wagon through. Which I still, as a player, it's like kind of funny because like you had to get out of your locked up area, get the wagon, bring it through the locked up area, and somehow the wagon itself doesn't make enough noise.
I mean, the module says get the supplies, not necessarily the whole wagon. We just chose to move the whole wagon.
My players love doing that stuff because it's like, Because realistically, if you're bringing supplies to a drow stronghold or drow resistance, I'm imagining it's not just a few backpacks.
Right, yeah.
Like, real talk. But like, you know what, we waived some of it, and that's, it is what it is. So, but I guess that's into part 2.
Part 2, the Red Plume Garrison. This stealth-based dungeon crawl offers the players an opportunity to lean into their skills and bypass locks, guards, and monsters to get the supplies to the lift. The party has an opportunity to eliminate a noteworthy member of the Red Plume Guard. They'll have to contend with a clay golem that guards the lift. Pretty tough challenge for a stealth mission, but where are we going, Jake?
So... This gives the opportunity to get, like, you have to make up routes and stuff of how guards are moving, and your players are going to have questions before you have answers. They're going to drop hand grenades in your lap. You got to deal with them. And this is one of those situations where maybe you have counted out timing. Realistically, the amount, like, if someone's moving at 30 feet a second, I mean, that is pretty quick anyway. They could do their route in 18 seconds.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
Right.
Give them some time. Let them think they're being Ocean's 11. Let them do their thing. It's fine. I don't know if the captain is necessary to kill, but you can if you want.
I think it might be.
It might be a mission. Is it a mission?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's part of a mission. And you can get some cool items. You get a cool like scroll.
Yep.
Like that's really helpful in this specific, situation. With you can get a Greater Resto scroll. Great. Like that's actually worthy of like. It's not like you're getting like a scroll of lesser restoration. There you go.
Right.
So I do think that there is some interesting characters here with interesting like there's Ted the kid that takes care of like the dogs. Like don't be annoying to him.
Right.
Like don't be a jerk. And if you're not a jerk, he's cool with you. He's like, I don't care, I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Like
I sweep floors.
like I don't really care. Like there's definitely some cool things. You got some magical accoutrements or stuff like that. I mean that's not the right word. But you have some when you get to the clay golem in the before the Waydown.
Yeah, part of my kind of like disconnect with this module is a clay golem seems like a pretty loud thing to fight during a stealth mission, but
if I remember correctly, this room has got
door. Oh, it's got like sound.
It's like a silenced room almost. Yeah, so the doors to this room are quite thick, and when closed, they muffle the sound of combat inside, which like. All right, D&D. That's all I gotta say. It's all right, D&D.
Anyway, part 3, down the way down. After lowering the supplies into the Underdark, the party will once again take to the river to get them downstream, and through the Shrine of Twofold Sin, they will encounter a Katoa ambush telegraphed by clear signs of Katoa presence along the river. This is pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a lot to go into here, honestly. Like,
I'm ready to move on when you are.
Yeah, I like that they are reusing this river for several mods. It
sounds appropriate.
Yeah,
it's like Flan. They just keep on going back to the same places. No, I like it. I agree.
Part 4, the Shrine of Twofold Sin. Another dungeon crawl awaits your players when they find the Shrine of Twofold Sin. Several powerful Kotoas occupy the temple, along with the Hezrao demon and 2 Cambions. If the party is merciful, they can recruit the Hezrao demon to aid in the fight against the other fiends. Jake, finish us off here with Part 4.
All right, so pretty straightforward in the first 2 areas. There's you got the missions from the Lord's Alliance, in the flooded tunnels, and then there's a random spot that has the octopus den that you don't need to go to, but it's there, and I don't understand it.
And it's an extra 40-minute combat.
Yeah, that's an extraordinarily long.
Octopi have a lot of hit points and take a long
time. And
it's
3 giant, not just normal ones, albino octopi.
Which for whatever that means. I don't know.
Whatever that does. But, I guess the one thing you could determine is technically that there's, the Lord's Alliance, Wizard's Death, but it's I guess it's the treasure, but it's okay. I don't know. It's I'm almost in the mindset of put it with the Hezrao.
Yeah.
I know it's materially changing part of the mod, but it's one room over, and it should be conditional of be friendly to Hezrao, and he'll be oh yeah, here's this, or maybe say Hezrao knows this, or no, Toad knows, and he can say hey, octopi scram.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't.
It's a long combat. It's
a boring and awful
boring combat.
Resource dump.
Yeah. And it's an extra 40 minutes. That's going to be a long fight.
So I guess the one part it does have is up until this point, you're probably first combat was a clay golem, which is not going to be a super long combat. It's going to hit, but it's not going to be a super long combat. Mm-hmm. And you're probably an hour and a half into this mod.
Yeah.
By the time you get to this point, so maybe you do include the thing, but
just
it's also one of those. Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
maybe you're at 2 hours, even still. Yeah. I would rather let my players go from the table early at a convention.
Or on a Monday night.
Or on a Monday night. Yeah, it's not necessary. This part, I don't think it really adds Sure, there is that mission there, but you as a DM have the ability to move stuff around, and I don't think anyone's gonna hate you for going hey, do you guys want to really fight 3 octopi?
Right.
And they'd go not particularly.
Right.
And if that's the case, just amp up the last fight.
Right.
And
do you really want to deal with 18 tentacles for a half hour, or do we just want to move on?
Yeah. So and as a result, you can put it in the shrine. If you're nice to Toad and you're not a jerk to him, he becomes friendly towards you, which then at that point you have to go and fight the 2 sins, Gatash, and Rashara, are they? The Cambions. Deal with them, and maybe you add more stuff to this if you didn't do the octopus fight.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing, because Cambions, they have 100 something hit points,
but they don't do much else.
They have currently it's a 3-person combat, so maybe add one more or add the whips, and it's gonna be a tough combat, but they're gonna be pretty much topped out minus the clay golem fight.
And I think there's a long rest after the clay golem fight, so they're gonna be topped off anyway. And I would rather have a more interesting combat. I guess if you're a new DM, it's extra stat blocks to work with, and that can be a struggle.
But I also wouldn't run this as the first. I wouldn't run this if I was my first.
Right. For me to run, I would much rather run a module that has a larger, interesting combat with several components to keep track of for your players than 5 straightforward, boring, kind of by the numbers, boring.
Because
I
really to push that point about the octopus, it's they're. Let's see here. They've got it's 11 AC with 52 hit points. So it's 152 hit points, and then 3 swarms of quippers, which is another effective 85 hit points.
And swarms suck. Because they have resistance to non...
So it's actually more like a 310 hit points.
And it's not like resistance except for magical items.
It's just
like
resistance,
swarms
period.
just have resistance to physical damage. It's just...
And then they get more aggressive with advantage when stuff gets hit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's necessarily... Like, if you're going to run it, it's a difficult combat. There's 3 Swarms of Equippers. There's 3 Giant Octopus. Like, it's annoying. It sucks. But, you know, it's at the same time, it's like... I guess if you want to, like, you know, tag your players a bit, sure. But, like, I would just rather have extra stuff at the end of the combat, you know, instead of having to reroll initiative, you know, 10 seconds later.
Right.
So.
I think that's fair. Anyway, at the end, the party can deliver the much-needed supplies to the drow resistance and gain allies, as well as time to plan the upcoming attack on Mara Mydra. So there it is, DDAL 3-9, the Waydown. Thank you so much for listening to some advice on how to run it at your tables. Be a good neighbor, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, Toll the Dead for notifications. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon. And from now until the next time, roll together.